friend Jim here with JB's Big Adventure, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. And yes, I'm going to be talking about the things that you do not want to bring into Mexico. And believe you me, that is such of a serious thing, because I know folks that have actually done some of these, and it's a big trouble. It's a big trouble. So what I'm going to do is there's about 6 different categories of what not to bring in. Now, the number one is always the firearms and ammunitions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save that one actually for the end of the video, because of the fact it's a little bit more entailed. And I want to make sure you get all the information, because there's some real legalities, and it's really important that you know the correct thing you got to do versus not knowing. So I'm going to start with knives and swords. So I don't know. There's times where I mean, what are you going to put? You're going to put your big butcher knife inside your check-on bag. It's funny. It's funny. So knives and swords. So something you do not want to bring into Mexico. And there's a lot of good reasons behind that. But I just encourage you, don't. Okay, the next one's explosives. And this is also a really important one. Now, when you're here at Lakeside, what you will hear is you'll hear coyotes. The coyotes is actually the big, it's kind of like a piece of dynamite, but it's kind of like an M80. And what they do is they shoot them in the air. And those are actually distributed through the churches. So some people ask me, why am I hearing the fireworks in the morning? Well, it's a reminder that you need to be getting to Mass, because remembering that the Catholic belief is the number one belief in Mexico. I think probably around the world that might also be. So the coyotes. Now, every once in a while, we'll actually see like a neighborhood or somebody that's actually shooting fireworks up in the air. I mean, just last night when I was working on some of these videos, I'm sitting there and all of a sudden outside of our door in our backyard, I could actually see the fireworks all in the air and everything. And it's like, wow. So you don't want to be bringing fireworks into Mexico. There are times where they're legalized because of the fact they have like get-togethers, events. They might have some parties that are on the governmental side, but you just don't want to bring any kind of explosives into Mexico. Next one, illegal drugs. Now, this is a big one because of the fact that it's got a whole bunch of different angles from it. But illegal drugs, cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, fentanyl, heroin, and a whole bunch more that you do not want to be bringing into Mexico. Now, the thing that I will share with you is that when it comes to the marijuana thing, what I would say is that marijuana actually was legalized, medical marijuana that is, was legalized in 2021. But it's got to have less than 1% HTC in it, and it has to be prescribed by a doctor. Now, I am not someone that's any kind of an expert when it comes to marijuana and all. In fact, I think it's kind of funny. It's illegal in Mexico. But when Barbara and I were in Puerto Vallarta, I could not believe all the people that came up to us and said, marijuana? Marijuana? I mean, a bunch. There were a bunch of, I bet you there was a dozen people when we were out walking on the Malecon for a distance. So there's ways of getting it, but if you're like me, just no reason to be a part of it. So, but medical marijuana is something that is legal. Again, medical marijuana was actually legalized in Mexico since 2021. but you got to have a prescription from a doctor for it. Another item is counterfeit goods. Now, this is a big deal. There's actually a big shopping area here, and it's called San Juan Dios. It's actually in Guadalajara, and I've been there a bunch of times, and everything there is counterfeit. I mean, everything, if you find something Gucci, it's not going to be. This is where all the Mexican people go to shop. So with the prices that they're going for, you just know that they're not the real thing. But what's included in things you cannot bring into the country, counterfeit goods wise? Electronics, footwear, cosmetics, accessories, optical media, fish, money, watches, toys, handbags, clothing, computers, also pharmaceuticals, luxury goods, medicines and personal care, and olive goods. I mean, olive oil. I don't know why the olive oil is in there. I never thought that it could be actually synthetically produced. But that is something that is also a big thing that you're not to be bringing into the country. And folks, I just came down. I took my car up to the border and sold it a couple weeks ago. And they're pretty stringent on things when you're coming into Mexico, or even when you're going into the States. So we covered knives and swords, explosives, illegal drugs, medical marijuana. We talked about that, counterfeit goods, and now let's talk about the firearms and the ammunitions. So, anyone who's entering Mexico with a firearm or ammunition without a permit can face up to 5 years in prison. All arms must be registered with the Secretariat of National. So you got to make sure it's legal. It's got to be legal before you can do anything with it or have it here. Now, where do you buy that? It actually is at the DCAM, which is and I'm showing you pictures here. And one of those pictures is actually a picture of what it looks like and what it looks like on the inside. So it's in Mexico City, and it's actually surrounded by the army, and they've all got long guns. So what you end up finding is also, you don't just walk in and walk out with something. From what I'm understanding, the process of being able to have a personal firearm is quite the experience. And there's a lot of paperwork you have to go through. There's a lot of qualifying you have to go through. So they don't make it real easy, but that's good for safety. You, a citizen or a resident, legal resident of Mexico, can actually own a total of 10 firearms. All right, so what are some of the important things to know about having a firearm? Owning a gun and carrying a firearm are two different scenarios in Mexico. One is you may own a registered firearm which is kept in the home, but in order to carry it, you need a license, which is typically reserved for police, army, Navy officials, some private security services, and specialized sporting participants, like doing target shooting and those kind of things. Some rural landowners or politicians and affluent citizens who feel they're in danger may also be able to justify the need to carry a license. So firearms have to be licensed. You have to go through and prove that you're mentally and physically capable. You've got to provide employment or a means financially. Served in the military. Do not have a criminal record. Do not use illegal drugs. Demonstrate a need to carry a firearm. And there are two types of carrying licenses. One's for officials and the other's for private citizens. Licenses to carry arms for individuals are for the exclusive use of that individual. So what is it you're having a firearm for? What is it you're going to be utilizing? Are you going to be going out and hunting, or are there other purposes that you have for it? Licenses may be granted to private individuals owning one or more firearms for target shooting, hunting, if the applicant's a member of a registered club or association and meets the requirements. transport of firearms, gun owners who belong to hunting or shooting clubs and keep registered firearms must maintain a valid permit and renew this permit each year in order to transport the guns to and from these activities. The private sale and transfer of firearms must be authorized, again, by the Secretariat of National Defense. The buyer and seller must appear in person along with a weapon to process the transaction. Now, I had somebody telling me that they went in to get their license, and it was like a 3-month process. Because what he was telling me, you don't just walk in and buy a gun. There's a process to it to keep things safe, because they don't have concealed carry here the same as those that carry in the States. So I encourage people just to got to be careful. We're in Mexico. We've got to obey their laws. And so what I would say to you is just make sure you follow these. And there's also, the Mexican government actually has a website all dedicated to, in fact, be the carry of firearms or having firearms and being able to use them. Friend, I hope that's been helpful for you. In fact, if having a gun and those kind of things are important to you, and also what not to be traveling with coming into Mexico. So as always, thank you so much for being a part of this channel and being part of this community. Have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.